Here's another podcast from the Pod Bros Network.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. This is Jeff and John in studio in beautiful Wyandotte, Michigan, reviewing Jean-Claude Van Damme behind closed doors. This is episode 4 entitled Attila, which was released April 12th, 2011. In this episode, Jean-Claude's back in the middle of the action on the set of action movie Weapon, but rehearsals for his latest fight scene go badly wrong when some over-enthusiastic punches leave his co-star in trouble.
Who would have thought?
Oh, man.
Don't ever change, JCVD.
Yep, seriously. Controlled punches, like you said when we were watching it. So we watched this film. Before we get started, let's talk about a little bit of news since we are close to it. Van Damme appeared on the whatever show with James Corden. You might know James Corden as the guy who does the celebrity karaoke in cars little segments. He and JCVD did a fun little spoof parody video on the very popular, very, oh goodness, it's what's the word? Controversial.
Yes.
Television show on Netflix with my apologies, I didn't look it up, but this woman who tells people to either get rid of stuff or keep it, hold on to it, see what pleasure it brings, yada yada yada. And so they did a parody on that where they're with the family and they're like, does it bring you joy? And they're like, no. And Van Damme breaks stuff, and it's pretty funny. So check it out. It's on YouTube. Check that out. Also, while you're on the internets, podbros.com, get on us on our Amazon link. Doesn't cost you anything. We know you're going to be buying some JCVD swag on Amazon.
Hell yeah.
Or go to our TeePublic page at tee.pub/LIC/PropBros. Oh, I kind of
whiffed it a little bit.
And then in Pod Bros.
Still batting like 900 though.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, seriously. We have a Bone Apple t-shirt up on there if you're a fan of our YouTube series.
And banners.
We have that, yes. T-shirts, mugs, banners, pillows,
onesies.
Phone cases, onesies, you name it, it's on there.
Mouse pads.
So, funny little thing, I created a shirt on there as well for it, and I had the dimensions, but when I went to upload it onto TeePublic, it was like, no, these dimensions are wrong. I'm like, no, they're not. So there's some weird little situation happening.
So we're going to have to make a scene at the TeePublic headquarters is what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah. So I think some of you will thoroughly enjoy the shirt that I made. It's a very, very, it's an homage to one of the kickboxers. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, once I get that up on the site, I think then, I'll say what it is, but before I do that. So I'm also trying to work on getting a Damcast shirt up. I think we might just call it Damcast, the shirt itself, because, Jean-Claude Van Damme cast is really hard to put on a shirt.
It's a little wordy, yeah.
So we'll see. I have some ideas I'm trying to play around with. I'm a little bit rusty on my stuff, but we're getting there. So yeah, check that out. It's also patreon.com/podbros. We have a super secret Van Damme episode tier up there, right? You can check that out. Doesn't cost too much, only $1 a month. And you'll get that. We have discussed some other ones that we might put up out there as well. Let's just say I have looked into it a little bit more. So I'll tell Jeff off air what I mean by that.
Uh-oh.
So yeah. Getting into this episode now that we got all that out of the way, we truly appreciate all that. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie that they're shooting right now.
It's
Weapon. I know that's what they call it, right? That's what
working
they call
title. If that is not a working title, I do not know what is.
Oh, seriously, dude. Oh, no way. The guy that was in this Assassination Games.
Yep, it was Assassination Games.
So Attila Arpa was Telly in it, and Van Damme and he are going over their scene together, in which Van Damme is doing the fight choreography, and in Van Damme fashion, he punches Attila in the fucking ribs.
Yeah,
man.
just You see it too.
Yeah, just punches him in the ribs. And so Van Damme was like, he thought he was the stunt guy. Like, so number one, Van Damme thinking that you're a stunt guy, like actor,
yeah,
you kind of hurt and be like, son of a bitch, really, dude? So he's doing the choreography. So Van Damme automatically thought that the guy was gonna like jump with the blow, but like, let's be totally honest. When Van Damme's like, let's do this, this, and this, you can't fucking read his mind.
No.
Like, I mean, there's no way.
Maybe they couldn't.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's true. So, yeah, no. So there was a little bit of drama there, but like, it's kind of funny. It was only drama on Van Damme's side of things.
He was just
my
totally...
champion!
Yeah.
We had one of those moments.
Yeah, Attila was just, too starstruck to even
he
kick up
like,
a fuss.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, so nice about it.
Yeah, he was like, your dad's... actually, Chris had to go. So Van Damme tells Chris to go to tell Attila that he's really sorry and, he didn't mean it and he wants to take him out for a drink and yada, yada, yada. And so Chris is talking to him, apologizing. He was like, that's not necessary. None of this is necessary. It's totally fine. But I mean, if he wants my number, I'll give him my number.
Hell yeah.
And so Attila's just talking. He's like, well, yeah, I mean, it hurt. He punched me in the ribs. But
it would have been nice if he had let me know beforehand where he was going with it.
I know, yeah. And I mean, there was that. But yeah, he also kind of teased throughout the episode when they go back to him. He's like, I get to work with one of my idols. He even jokes and calls himself a B-list actor.
Yeah.
Attila calls himself that. And he's like, I grew up, he's my childhood idol, yada, yada, yada. It's okay. He goes, but now I'm kind of regretting some of having to fight him. But no, it was pretty funny throughout the whole episode. There's another scene where Van Damme's in the makeup trailer. Attila's in there as well, and he's only in his underwear. And Van Damme's like, let me see your body. He
just grabs his junk.
He's laughing. He grabs his junk at him and shakes his junk at Van Damme. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, they're two peas in a pod. They really are.
Yeah, so we get throughout this episode Van Damme going in, getting MRIs done, and getting all this other to see if he's good for a fight. And it really, we end up seeing that, Chris is supporting him, going with him and whatnot. But by the end of the episode, he goes back to the doctors for the results. And, of course, they don't say it, but it's totally obvious. He has arthritis, built up in his joints, which is totally understandable when you're doing all those kicks, And the doctor tells him, he's like, the way that the hips work is... they're not supposed to be put in such a stressful motion continuously. And he goes, you've been doing that all this time. So, of course, it's a little bad right around here. You're going to have to figure out different types of kicks and whatnot. So Van Damme's really upset kind of with that.
It really was one of his signature kicks.
Yeah, exactly. It's the signature kick. And so he's like, I have to change it up a little bit. We have to work different muscles. And, his coach is with him, his best friend's with him, and they're just talking about what he can do to prepare for this fight. And I'm saying, let's be honest, that's more for TV than it is because he'd still try to do one of those kicks no matter what. But
yeah,
just
for one fight too.
I tell you what, man. Yeah, exactly. Facing off against the champion that he was facing against.
Dude, that guy looks so fucking scary.
So throughout the episode, they pepper this throughout the episode too. Back this former champion who's just has a picture of Van Damme from the Golden Eagle, which never was released. And he's just beating up this picture, and he's pointing to the camera, doing the slit throat motion, and so absolutely
this crazy
hilarious.
Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, man. And so Van Damme's got to face this guy, and they're talking about, can Van Damme still do it? And Van Damme ends up having a moment. He ends up going to Ukraine.
Again,
meeting one of his best Ukrainian friends, who is throwing a surprise birthday party type of thing for him. Van Damme knows about the party, but he doesn't know what's going to happen at the party. He's there for a charity event. He goes, and it's kind of like a modeling fashion show. He gets to one of the models, and he's like, you have a face, and can I have your number? And I want to put you in a movie. It's really funny.
Yeah.
And so he's talking to the cameras about it, how she just has this this demeanor to her, and he's like, who knows? And he kind of makes the Hollywood kind of Finding joke moment.
Uh-huh.
And then we never see her again. So
nope.
But then he's at like the nightclub at night, and all of a sudden he just is in a very bad mood. It starts at the charity event with people asking him questions, and I've seen this before. I think you have too, where Van Damme gets interviewed by certain interviewers, and he really just does not like the questions.
He just like shuts down.
He shuts down. He really does. He starts acting like a kid. And he was taking the boom mic of one of the other people and playing with it. Go boop.
He's like
boop,
showing them
boop.
stuff on his phone.
Yeah, this is my dog. This is my dog. See how cute this dog is. And the reporters, the poor interviewer is just kind of like, what about this? And she's not asking bad questions.
No.
It's just real bad. And then we find out he didn't take his medicine. So for those that don't know, Van Damme has bipolar disorder, and he said he can't take his medicine when he's drinking. So he didn't take his medicine that night because he knew he was going to be drinking, and he just had a really bad mood swing. And even at his own party, he's just like, don't tell him that I'm here. And then, you know, like, so this woman's singing happy birthday to him, and then he's kind of like, you know, and she stops like in the middle of it, and then he's like, no, happy birthday to him. And so she continues. And then he's like walking across down at the bottom of the stage, and they're like, Van Damme's not here. And he's walking right there. And she's like, oh, yes, he is. And so Van Damme kind of like gets up on stage and he says a few words.
Yeah.
And he's like, make sure that there's enough cake for everybody. And then he kind of takes off.
He was a good sport for, you know.
Oh, yeah. To be in a certain mood like that. I mean, there's times. I think we've all been there, though, too, where there's days that you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone, and it just can come on you, and you're like, man, you know, something takes so much energy out of you that you're just like, I don't fucking want to, I want to go back to my room, and I just don't want to lay down, or I just want to watch TV, and that's it. And he's just having one of those days, so he went through that, and then he's back on the private jet, and he's talking about, you know,
he asked if they could do a loop, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. When he was going over there, he's like, no, we don't do loops with passengers. We do it when we're in the plane by ourselves. But yeah, he also has the tradition every time he flies, he calls all of his family members to tell them that he loves them.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, man. So he does
kind of morbid too.
I know. Yeah, right. I mean, that's I felt for him because like, oh, that kind of sounds.
He does fly a lot though. So
I know, right? Yeah. Could you imagine?
Statistically,
it's like every day you get a call from him, man.
Yeah.
For all he has to do. So yeah, and then meanwhile, we also kind of get a little bit of a focus on his daughter, which is not so much in the series so far.
Yeah,
Bianca, and you know she's trying for a role, and they say the new Mortal Kombat movie, but we know at this time there is no Mortal Kombat movie.
So maybe it was for a web series or for a movie that never ended up happening.
Yeah, right. So she's trying to practice kickboxing. She almost nails her instructor, her coach, in the junk.
Classic Van Damme.
Yep. So, yeah, there was a funny little moment there. And then she decides she needs to get a tattoo. So she gets a tattoo on her foot of a fern. And the whole reason for this is apparently because Van Varenberg is Dutch for mountain fern.
Yep.
And so she gets this design and she takes it to the tattoo artist. She gets it on her foot and she's like, ow, my foot. She's like, I'm really good with pain. And then the tattoo happens. She's like, my foot hurts. And then that's kind of it with her segment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, towards the tail end, Van Damme's in a hotel. They got to get on the plane. They have 55 minutes left. And like, I'm just freaking out for them. Trying to get on the plane. Yeah, no
kidding. Could you imagine leaving on that such short notice?
Seriously, dude, no. And they get on the plane, and then the credits roll. I don't think there's anything else. Is there something that I missed that you can think of?
No, we got to see that Attila guy's head get cut off.
Yeah, that's true. They did a little thing with that and how they put it in post-production.
Yeah, it was interesting how, like, to get a fake head to land properly, they film it being lifted with a wire in reverse so it doesn't bounce around like a fake head.
Yep.
That's like classic weird movie magic. You know,
man.
Like how blood, like they'll have to use a different colored blood so it looks like blood on screen and like stuff like that.
Yeah. And certain like the old black and white. Like,
and Scream, they had to use chocolate syrup.
Chocolate syrup, and they're like
they tried actual animal blood for that.
Yeah, and Scream.
Yeah,
I think we talked about that. I was like, what? That's crazy, and it just didn't look good.
Yep.
But
movie magic.
I know, man. Absolutely crazy. So That was episode 4. I mean, it was funny. It's funny that they named it after the actor, Attila.
Yeah, well, they really were two
really
peas
nice.
in a pod.
Yeah,
the Attila
he
guy was
a
really
funny
cool.
guy.
Yeah,
man.
Just such a good sport.
Oh yeah, seriously.
After getting punched right in the ribs and not even complaining at all.
Oh, that's something we forgot to mention too. So Van Damme's working out and he's getting body conditioning while he's working out too. And for those that don't know, it's basically taking, usually it's some, in his case, it was like a bamboo rod, but sometimes it's like a rolled up mat. Sometimes you're actually doing it yourself.
Sometimes it's a giant double-sided dildo. Sometimes
you work with what you have, right? So Van Damme's working out, and in between sets, he's getting hit with this bamboo. It's on his stomach conditioning, on his ribs.
So what does that do? Like deaden the nerves?
So, yes. Yep, that's exactly what it does. And so it's he was doing that, and we were talking about it, and you were going, does this really happen? I was like, actually, yes, I've had it done. I do it. I used to anyway. Mostly legs, your side legs, your thighs. You do it, your ribs, you do it. But, the thing with your ribs is because it's mostly, it's like cartilage and it's basically bare bone on your skin.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder. So, it's not like you're going full wax on your ribs, but it's, enough of a repeating motion to try to toughen them up.
Okay.
And, your stomach definitely too. That's definitely an area that you concentrate on. Mostly you concentrate on with training your legs. And sometimes your arms, your outer arms, and
what about the face?
And your no, so that's the thing, right? So there was camps that believe that face conditioning, chin conditioning, but like if you look at the science of it, because of the impact that gets taken on your skull and your brain, it's more prone to knock you out.
Yeah,
so like
that makes sense. Yeah,
getting punched in the face. Chuck Liddell is a good example of this. Nothing towards Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell is a great fighter in his time, but that's where, the joke goes, like, you have a punch card. In wrestling, they call it the bump card. In fighting, you have a punch card. There's only so many punches you can take to the face before your body automatically just shuts down. It's almost like concussion each time. So if, there's the punch on the chin, that's what I mean, like chin conditioning. It's total bullshit because it's a constant traumatic injury to your brain. Yeah. So, that's, and you're basically smashing your brain up against your skull or, floating around every time you hit your head. So that's why, like face conditioning is not such a thing. Anytime that I see people doing it, I'm like, don't be a fucking idiot.
What if you have your head braced against something when you do face conditioning though?
I mean, look at the physics of it. Would it
still reverberate? I guess it would.
Yeah, it would, because it's still like, that's even like kind of worse because
what if you do a bunch of Botox before a fight?
Ooh. Shh. But no, the stomach and the leg. Well, he just did stomach and ribs, but yeah, we saw that, and it's absolutely insane with the rest of this series. But we've been enjoying it.
Oh, it's been a hoot.
It's been awesome so far. We realized after we were watching episode 4 that by the time we get done doing this series, We Die Young comes out, I think, like March 2nd or something like that. March 1st or March 2nd. And by the time that comes out, we're still going to be in this series. So you might not hear our review of that until a little bit later in the month of March, but that's going to be okay. And who knows? Like I said, check out that YouTube video of James Corden. I forgot Conan. He did a skit with Conan O'Brien as well.
Yeah,
where they talked about Conan's butt. So I meant to watch that. I heard that was pretty funny. So check that out as well.
You can probably squeeze out an episode out of that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Twitter at Dammecast, JPV Dammecast at gmail.com if you want to get to us as well. We appreciate everyone that talks to us. Shout outs to all of our friends. We've been talking about, like I said, Lee and Jonathan Presley, one of our friends through the wrestling show. He told us about, the Street Fighter comic book we mentioned last week. And, Ryan, big shout outs to all of our fans and listeners and friends, and we truly appreciate everything that you do. So, with all that being said, Jeff, do you have anything to add?
I used to think that I always wanted to be in a fight scene with Jean-Claude Van Damme, but at this point, I definitely do.
have a little bit of source. I mean, honestly, like seriously, after watching that, it's the I guess the masochist in me.
Yeah, you just got to take your bumps, you know.
Yep, I want to take a bump. I want to be in a fight choreography scene with Van Damme.
Get my head cut off.
Have him blame me for him punching me or kicking me. You're
supposed to jump back.
You're supposed to go with the motion of it, and I'd be like, I know Van Damme, but I wanted to take one of your kicks. I want you to scream my champion to me. So maybe one day. So who knows? I realized when we were watching this about we saw his hat, the JCVD hat and the shirt, and we were talking about getting one, and you can't get one anymore now, now.
Man.
But we also stumbled upon that you can actually contact his agency and whatnot. So
man.
Who knows what we'll do? It's for business inquiries only.
We have a business.
But we do legitimately have a business.
Hell yeah.
Pod Bros Network LLC. And let's see what we can do. So, I mean, the worst that happens is we get rejected.
Mm-hmm. And then we will weep.
And then we weep. And then we get sued.
Yes.
So.
And then we become destitute.
And then you see us doing crazy things for money.
Yep.
Turn this podcast into something else. A webcast. Throbcast, yep.
Finally happened.
Thank you all so much. I am John.
And I am Jeff.
You've been listening to another crazy episode of the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. Hey, Jeff, I got to get an MRI. Will you come support me?
I'll be there for you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Don't mind me moving my junk on there.